There are moments in crypto where a single regulatory decision can shift the entire direction of a company, and sometimes even the entire ecosystem behind it. And right now, Ripple just secured one of those rare victories. While most of the world was focused on the US courts, ETF headlines, or price predictions, something far more strategic and far more long-term happened quietly in the Middle East. Abu Dhabi's Financial Services Regulatory Authority, one of the strictest and most respected financial regulators on the planet, officially recognized Ripple's RLUSD stablecoin as an accepted fiat-referenced token inside the Abu Dhabi global market. That means, starting right now, authorized entities in the ADGM can legally use RLUSD for payments, settlements, and financial operations in one of the world's fastest-growing digital finance hubs. At first glance, it sounds like just another regulatory announcement, but when you zoom out, when you look at Ripple's strategy in the UAE, the timing, the partnerships forming behind the scenes, and the monetary direction the region is pushing toward, this approval looks less like a simple green light and more like the beginning of Ripple's next major expansion phase. And if you believe Ripple always plans 5 steps ahead, then go ahead and hit that like button, because what's happening in the UAE right now might be the spark that reshapes Ripple's global footprint going into 2026 and beyond. In this video, we're breaking down exactly what the FSRA approval means, why it matters right now, and how it positions RLUSD, and indirectly, XRP, for the next stage of adoption. We'll explore why Abu Dhabi is crucial to Ripple's long-term ambitions, how RLUSD is being positioned inside one of the world's most forward-thinking financial jurisdictions, and why this move might be far bigger than the announcement makes it look. This isn't just news, it's a signal, and by the end of this video, you'll understand why this signal might be one of the most important milestones Ripple has hit all year. So let's get into the heart of it, because what Abu Dhabi just did could change the direction of this entire ecosystem. What just happened in Abu Dhabi? Abu Dhabi's Financial Services Regulatory Authority, the FSRA, is not a light-touch regulator. It's known globally for having some of the strictest digital asset frameworks in the world, and the Abu Dhabi global market, the ADGM, is viewed as one of the safest, most compliant hubs for blockchain companies. When the FSRA approves something, it isn't based on hype or promises. It's based on audits, risk assessments, compliance structures, and months of regulatory review. So when RLUSD, Ripple's own stablecoin, was officially recognized as a fiat-referenced token inside the ADGM, it signaled that Ripple passed every one of those tests. This classification matters because FRTs inside the ADGM are treated like fully recognized digital equivalents of fiat currency. They're allowed to be used by regulated institutions, integrated into payment systems, paired with banking operations, and leveraged across financial services running inside the free zone. Not many stablecoins have this designation, and for RLUSD, which only recently began rolling out across the XRP Ledger and Ethereum, securing a place in a jurisdiction as respected as the UAE is a massive win. The timing is also interesting. Over the last 2 years, the UAE has positioned itself as one of the global leaders in digital finance, aggressively building legal frameworks for tokenization, digital payments, and blockchain-based settlement rails. And Ripple has been expanding in the region during the exact same period, establishing its Dubai office, forming partnerships with regional banks, and strengthening its influence inside MENA's $800+ billion remittance corridors. This approval didn't happen by chance. It happened because Ripple has been planting foundations in the UAE since 2020, and now those foundations are finally paying off. But this raises an even bigger question. Why did Abu Dhabi approve RLUSD now?
Why the UAE approved RLUSD? To understand why this approval matters so much, we need to understand the UAE's bigger play. The UAE isn't building crypto rules for fun. It's trying to become the world's capital for digital finance, a global hub where blockchain, tokenization, cross-border settlement, and digital assets all converge under a single regulatory umbrella. Ripple fits into that vision almost perfectly. The ADGM wants stablecoins that are transparent, audited, properly backed, and built for institutional use. They don't want meme coins, casino tokens, or shady offshore projects. They want assets that integrate with banks and regulated financial entities, especially in a region where cross-border money movement is one of the most critical economic pillars. And Ripple's RLUSD is engineered exactly for that environment. It's designed for institutional payments, it's backed transparently, it meets the compliance expectations regulators care about, and it's tied to an ecosystem already used by banks worldwide. On top of that, Ripple has spent years expanding relationships across the Middle East. From Saudi Arabia to the UAE and from Bahrain to Oman, RippleNet corridors have quietly been forming. And with tokenization becoming a regional priority, regulators are pushing for stablecoins that align with their long-term monetary plans. RLUSD provides something powerful, a compliant, institution-ready stablecoin backed by a company the UAE already trusts. So the FSRA approval wasn't just about RLUSD meeting requirements. It was about the UAE choosing which stablecoins it wants inside its future financial architecture. And whether people see it or not, Ripple is being chosen as a core player. What RLUSD can now be used for? Inside the Abu Dhabi global market, RLUSD is now legally allowed to be used by authorized firms for financial operations. That means companies licensed inside the ADGM can integrate RLUSD into their payment flows, remittances, treasury operations, and even digital asset trading frameworks. This opens a door Ripple has been trying to unlock for years: direct institutional settlement using a Ripple-issued asset. And it's no small door. The ADGM hosts banks, fintech companies, corporate treasuries, and blockchain enterprises from all over the world. This means RLUSD could become the preferred settlement token for institutions operating inside the free zone. Want to move value instantly between licensed entities? RLUSD can do it. Want to use blockchain rails without touching volatile crypto assets? RLUSD provides that bridge. Want to integrate real-time payments or trade finance solutions inside regulated frameworks? RLUSD now has the legal clarity to support that. And here's where things get even more interesting. The XRP Ledger is one of the fastest, most reliable settlement networks in the industry. Now that RLUSD is approved, institutions can begin using the XRP Ledger's infrastructure without needing to touch XRP immediately. That's how Ripple slowly onboards big financial players. Show them stablecoin settlement first, then introduce XRP's on-demand liquidity later. This is the same playbook Ripple has used for years. RLUSD just accelerates it. If you're following Ripple's moves closely, make sure you're subscribed, because this isn't the end of their expansion, and what RLUSD unlocks in the UAE is only the beginning.
What this means for Ripple's global strategy. Ripple isn't building products in isolation. They're building a global framework. Over the last 2 years, they secured strategic licensing across multiple regions: Singapore's major payments license, UK regulatory alignment, US stablecoin positioning, and now ADGM approval for RLUSD. These aren't random moves. They're puzzle pieces. If you look closely at Ripple's roadmap, their strategy becomes clear. RLUSD and XRP are not competitors, they're complementary. RLUSD is the regulated on-ramp for institutions. XRP is the liquidity engine powering cross-border settlement. Institutions first adopt stablecoin rails because they're familiar, safe, and regulatory approved. Once they scale settlement volumes, they turn to XRP for cheaper liquidity. RLUSD is the bridge, XRP is the highway. With Abu Dhabi's approval, Ripple just unlocked a major financial center for its hybrid model, and that model will eventually scale across remittance networks, corporate payments, banking corridors, and tokenized asset settlement systems. The UAE approval validates Ripple's strategy in a region positioned to dominate blockchain-based finance over the next decade. How institutions will use RLUSD. Institutions don't want volatility. They don't want unpredictable asset behavior. They want reliability, compliance, and fast settlement. RLUSD gives them that. And now that it's approved inside the ADGM, banks and financial entities operating in Abu Dhabi can integrate RLUSD into cross-border remittances, corporate treasury transfers, payroll operations, settlement of tokenized assets, instant clearing between licensed firms. For example, a bank in Abu Dhabi can settle intraday transfers using RLUSD instead of waiting days for SWIFT. A remittance company can move funds into Asia or Africa using RLUSD with near zero delays. Corporate clients can settle invoices in seconds. And because RLUSD is on the XRP Ledger, every transaction can leverage the XRPL speed and transparency. And this is where the interesting part starts. Once institutions get comfortable with RLUSD, integrating XRP becomes much easier, because XRP solves a problem RLUSD cannot: global liquidity. RLUSD is a settlement token. XRP is an on-demand liquidity asset. Together, they form the infrastructure Ripple has been building toward for years. What this means for XRP. XRP doesn't need RLUSD to fail. It needs RLUSD to succeed. The more institutions adopt RLUSD, the more activity flows through the XRPL. And increased network activity always leads to increased liquidity demand. That's where XRP steps in. With RLUSD approved, institutions in the UAE will begin settling transactions on XRPL rails. Over time, some will implement XRP for liquidity optimization, especially in corridors where fiat ramps are slow or expensive.
This is how Ripple onboards banks without overwhelming them. They start with stablecoins. Then they transition into XRP once volume scales. The UAE is also one of the largest remittance hubs on Earth, connecting to India, Pakistan, the Philippines, Nigeria, and Egypt. These corridors collectively move over $120 billion annually. Even if a small fraction of that volume flows through RLUSD before scaling into XRP-based solutions, the long-term effect could be enormous. The UAE's role in Ripple's future. The UAE isn't just approving assets, it's trying to build the financial future before other regions even understand it. And Ripple has become one of the UAE's strongest allies in that mission. Since opening its Dubai office in 2020, Ripple has worked closely with institutions in the Gulf region, focusing on remittances, tokenization pilots, and financial innovation. Now, with RLUSD officially approved, Ripple is likely to expand even deeper. The UAE is preparing to tokenize massive financial markets, real estate, bonds, commodities, even government systems. And they need compliant infrastructure to do it. Ripple now stands at the center of that ecosystem. This is the beginning of Ripple's Middle Eastern expansion, not the end. And the UAE could become Ripple's biggest regulatory ally heading into the global tokenization wave of 2026 to 2030. What this means for us as investors. When regulators approve something, they aren't gambling, they're preparing the ground for the next phase. This approval tells us that Ripple is being positioned as a core player in international digital finance. It tells us RLUSD is now a recognized settlement token in a major global hub. And it tells us that XRP's long-term role is becoming more defined, not more uncertain. For us, this isn't just about price. It's about recognizing that Ripple is turning its ecosystem into real infrastructure, piece by piece, region by region. Approvals like this are easy to overlook today, but 5 years from now, they may be seen as the exact moment Ripple began entering global financial systems at scale. If you're still here watching, comment below, Ripple is playing the long game. And hit subscribe because Ripple's expansion in the UAE is just beginning. Abu Dhabi's FSRA approving RLUSD as an accepted fiat-referenced token isn't a random announcement, it's a milestone. It proves RLUSD is compliant, institution-ready, and aligned with one of the world's most advanced digital finance jurisdictions. It gives Ripple a foothold in the Middle East's rapidly growing financial hub. And most importantly, it sets the stage for the long-term convergence of RLUSD, XRP, and global blockchain-based settlement systems. In a world where the biggest shift rarely starts in the US, this may be the moment Ripple's future began accelerating. If you believe Ripple is just warming up, like this video, subscribe for more deep dives, and drop your thoughts below. The next chapter is already forming, and the UAE is leading the way.